So what I do now is if I love it, I just write in my diary about how much I love it and I call it a day. I don't go out and run and get every other color instead, which is just like, hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. So today's minimalism video is going to be struggling with shopping. Let me help you. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it, let's go. I got 3 things that I want to talk about. I got 3 things that I want to talk about just because, as you guys know, I've been a little bit more shoppy in the past year, and I have 3 things that I think could really help just because like I've kind of gotten back into the swing of shopping and being kind of irresponsible with my money. So things that I feel like could really help anybody else out who's struggling with, you know, maybe over shopping, if we're being real with ourselves. And of course, I'm not trying to bring shame to the table. I'm not here like villainizing shopping. I like to shop too, so I totally know what it's like. I think honestly, I'm just trying to make videos that are a lot more relatable and a lot more helpful. I feel like that's the vibe that I'm trying to bring to the table with my minimalism. I've been very extreme in previous years. I feel like maybe I want to bring like a woman's perspective, like a woman who loves shopping, who loves makeup, who loves fashion, and bring that to the table to know that like you can be a minimalist and you can put yourself ahead financially and still love minimalism. Like those 2 things, you know. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into the first one. Okay, so number 1, fashion says me too. Style says only me. So that's actually a quote from Coco Chanel. I recently kind of got into learning more about Coco Chanel because you guys saw that I went to Taiwan and Will's cousin gave me a Chanel and I was like, whoa, I've never owned anything Chanel. For those of you who've been following me for a period of time, Chanel is not one of the luxury designers that I like. I've never owned anything Chanel. I prefer Yves Saint Laurent. So because of that, I was like, I don't know, it just sparked some joy. I was just kind of curious. I was like, okay, let's learn a little bit about her. I picked up this quote and I was like, whoa, that's a really nice quote because she's considered very fashionable, and I think that that can really resonate with somebody else. At least it resonated with me. So I can't speak for other people, but the thing that, and what does this have to do with minimalism? I think that that is one of the beautiful things that came out of my minimalism journey was I was able to identify my own style. Fashion says me too. That really hit home for me because I kind of always felt like if I participated in fashion, I was letting everyone else know I'm fashionable. Fashion involves, you know, following certain trends. Like this is in right now and that's not in right now, and you're in the know and you're fashionable and you know what's in and you're participating in that. And then when it's not out, you can't be part of that anymore. And that's kind of the rotating hamster wheel that I used minimalism with to get off of. I just felt like, okay, yeah, I kind of don't, not that I don't want to be part of that. I mean, like, I still like to think of myself as fashionable. But the key part of the quote then is like, style says only me. I really struggled with that personally for a really long time, finding my own sense of identity. I really didn't think that my own personal taste was good enough. I never felt like what Nat deems fashionable is good enough. Like my own style, if it wasn't in trend, like minimalism, the aesthetic was really popular when minimalism was really popular, but it's kind of out of fashion right now, but I still really like it. So to kind of put your foot down, or at least put my foot down and be like, yeah, only me. I mean, to be fair, this minimalist uniform is not just me. A lot of minimalists dress like this, but for me to put my foot down and be like, yeah, my style is only me. I think if we're going like really deep into it, I guess I just didn't want to be me. I felt like if I kept tracing the trends, I would embody being a fashionable girl as opposed to, you know, dumpy looking Nat who's just wearing beige clothes, beige oversized clothes all the time. Like, wow, like how uncreative, like how boring. But I think that for me, just seeing that even like Coco herself thinks this, Coco thinks that you shouldn't follow fashion. Fashion says me too, and style says only me is just so beautiful. And that's something that's really been helping me recently. As you guys saw last year, I was really obsessed with shopping last year. I bought a lot of Aritzia, I bought a lot of Lulu, a lot of trendy items, some of them not even in my color family, because I really wanted to be part of like that it girl aesthetic. I guess I was just kind of evolving, and I think it's okay to change sometimes, but like that was like really big for me. Versus this year, I'm really coming back to my, you know, minimalism roots. I've been kind of revamping some of my old beige aesthetic clothing to just kind of be me again, which has been actually really nice because I feel like I'm putting on a pair of old comfortable shorts, and I feel like, yeah, that is style saying, oh, like, yeah, just me. And number 2, Perfume and makeup was designed by men to keep you poor. I know it's like a super radical statement. I don't like these type of classist statements, and I think a lot of my subscribers, as you guys have seen or shown me on in the comment section, you guys don't like these either. So bear with me. This is not my own personal thought. I'm actually gonna share with you guys where I recently got this from. So while I was on vacation, you guys know I like reading on books on my Kindle, and a book that I downloaded that I thought would be like an educational and good read for my 14-hour flight to Taiwan was Old Money, New Woman by Byron Tully. I've read some of his other books. I think they're fantastic. And I saw this one and I was like, oh, that would be really nice to read one on specifically for women. Some of the other ones that I've read are kind of more male oriented. I know a lot of people argue, well, it's still written by a man. I know, but just whatever. So I was reading it, and actually he wrote several chapters on this, talking about like how a lot of these companies are run by men, like the CEOs, all of these, you know, I'm sure there's women in high positions too, but like just generally speaking, like it's like a very male oriented industry, and it's designed to make women feel inferior, make them feel like they're not enough, and as such part women from their hard-earned dollars in exchange for products that are actually like filled with a lot of chemicals and really bad for their health. I know nowadays with social media, a lot of us ladies already know this. This is nothing new to anybody. But for me personally, I felt like the book kind of brought it in a very like nice way, like a very reflective manner, where it was like, you know what, like you don't have to buy this much makeup, and you don't have to support these large companies. And a lot of the things that nowadays I think is actually very common practice. I think a lot of us already know that a lot of these companies will market the same product but in different packaging with like different fragrance for like the high-end line and the low-end line, and it's like actually the same formulation. Like this book is a little bit older, so I think that might actually have been more secretive back in the day, but now actually a lot more common. But anyway, where am I going with this with minimalism? Something that's really helped me recently kind of cull down some of my shopping in terms of like makeup. Well, one, I went on a makeup rehab, that helped a lot too, but like two, also just kind of realizing that like when I thought about it, like I really didn't need that much makeup, you know. Maybe all I needed was just like a concealer and a lipstick and some mascara, and like I was good to go. I did not need a vanity full of makeup. I didn't need bags full of makeup. And it's true, it really is just parting you with your hard-earned dollars. Like I never wanted to admit that to myself. I wanted to feel like, you know, I deserve to be pretty, I deserve to wear makeup. That is a woman's privilege, and yeah, for sure. But I think for me it was just like such a refreshing read, and so this just kind of helped me a lot. It's just like obviously not as extreme as the statement, like they're just trying to keep you poor, but like if you, and I think some of you ladies, especially if you're minimalist or you're on your own project rehab journey, you've seen some of the sheer numbers, some of the money spent. Like I was recently watching a Project Pan video, and the girl was like showing her like luxury little bin, you know, it was like one of these. She pulled out literally one of these, and it had maybe about 10 like Chanel and like Hermes lipsticks, and she was like rattling about. She counted, it was like 9 or 10, and she was like, each one is 50. She's like, that's $1,000 in lipsticks. And she was like, she kind of put it down, and she like looked a little bit embarrassed. And I'm definitely not shaming her, like I have luxury items, but I don't know why that just kind of like hit home, those two things together, and I was like, that is a lot of money. Like there's so much more useful things I could do with $1,000 than buying freaking like plastic and chemicals in like a tube. I don't know, maybe I'm just growing up, maybe I'm just like in a different phase right now, but I just don't feel like having massive makeup collections is my priority anymore. I feel like I'm putting my financial health ahead, and I feel like that has really like helped me a lot. I don't know if that could help somebody else out. I've definitely put a big break on not buying makeup unless it's absolutely essential or I really love it. And same thing with perfume. I kind of fell down like a slippery slope buying a lot of designer perfume. I had to put my foot down and tell myself, no, finish what you have, because it actually takes a long time to finish. Number 3, it's easier to just love one item versus 3 items. So that's something that's been really helping me a lot, and that's actually one that actually came from me. So I was actually reading some of my old diary notes from my more hardcore minimalism days. Was, I want to say, because like I recently went to China, so I picked up my old diaries, and that was my extreme minimalism era, 2017 2018, and I was just reading some of the stuff that I wrote, and I this was the first time I tasted extreme minimalism, and I owned very little. And I remember I wrote like, it's just easier to love one item than it is to love 30, and it's so true. I've been kind of feeling kind of overwhelmed with some of the stuff and some of the clutter that I've kind of accumulated with my little shopping that's been going on in the previous year. I truly fell in love with like the clean aesthetic, like the, not like the super barren extreme minimalism, but just like the lack of clutter, like all of that, like that was really nice, and I kind of took it for granted, and I feel like kind of overwhelmed recently with some of my clutter. So I feel like for me, just kind of seeing my own notes and just kind of bringing back to the table that it's just easier to love one item has really kind of helped curb my shopping, because it's like it's going to be harder to fully appreciate one item or 2 items or like even like several items if I just keep buying. I steal the love away from that one item that I really liked in the first place. And I don't know if this is other people's problems, but a problem I notice in myself is like, if I really like one item, say I bought a pair of biker shorts from Aritzia that were just total fuego, I feel like I need to buy 2 or 3 more to kind of keep the love going, which is just absolutely ridiculous. When I had no money to play with, this was not an issue, but once I gained purchasing power, I started making these weird type of like habits, which so now I had like 3 biker shorts or 4, and it was like I can't even wear them, like I literally have one butt. and I would get less cost per wear ratio out of the one that I really loved. So what I do now is, if I love it, I just write in my diary about how much I love it and I call it a day. I don't go out and run and get every other color instead, which is just like ties back to this notion of it's just easier to love one or two than it is to love 30 items. So I hope that this video could have resonated with anyone. Hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys have more intentional shoppings, and yeah, happy intentional shoppings, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.